So, good morning, everyone. Um Today, we're going to discuss about Module 5. This is part programming for CNC machines, and it will be on APT, that is automatic programming tooling. In the previous class, we have discussed about CNC and all the how CNC machine can be programmed, and this is some examples of turning, milling, and drilling also. So now it's another part of CNC program, that is automatic programming tooling. It's a modified version, or you can say the newer version of CNC programming. So we'll discuss in APT in 4 lectures. So this is the first lecture. So first of all, what is APT? APT is the three-dimensional NC programming systems. So whatever you have done in the mm, previous classes, that is the no, computer numeric control. So this is nothing but a that's also three-dimensional NC programming systems, and this is also three-dimensional machine programming system. So APT is not only a language. Okay, so it is also it is not only a language, it is also the computer program that processes the APT statements to calculate the corresponding cutter position. So here you have to give some language, or you can say that some looks like language, but it's not an English language. It's type of English language. So you have only you have to give the what is the cutter positions. So now it's a computer assisted part programming, that is also called CAPP. The machining instruction are written in the English like statements. Okay, so English like statements are there. So it's not a English statement; it's English like statement. So I will discuss later how this can be written, that are the subsequently translated by the computer into the lower level machine code. So these things you need not to understand. So this is the part of MCU, that is machine control unit. So only you have to give some English like statement, and the cutter will automatically move, and in between the MCU it will code into the lower level machine code. It will do that. Okay, so it is the function of the MCU, that is machine control unit. So now, when using one of the part programming language, the two main tasks of the programmer has that defining the geometry of the work part. So this is the first part, and specifying the tool path, the operation sequence. So this is the second part. Now the program in APT, the part geometry must first be defined. Okay. Then the tool is directed to the various point locations and along the surface of the workpiece to accomplish the required machining operations. So to accomplish the required machining operation, you have to give some comments. The viewpoint of the programmer is that the workpiece remains stationary and the tools is instructed to move the relative to the part. So this is very important. Another thing is to complete the program speeds and feet. So you in the last class, that is in CNC, you have already seen that speed and feet must be specified. So here also this is a similar kind of CNC programmer, but it's a advanced version of the CNC. So here also some same process we have to follow, that is the speed and feet must be specified and tool must be called. So as like CNC is M06, the tool change or tool must be called where the tools are situated and what is the type of tool you have to mention. So tolerance must be given the circular interpolation, it is not needed, it is done by MCU, that is machine control unit, and so forth. So now the 4 basic types of statement. What are the basic types of statement here? 4 basic types of statements is there. First one is the geometry statement. Second one is the motion commands. Third one is the post processor statement. So in as like CNC, these three is can be done by G code. Okay, in CNC programming, these 3 types of things is done by G code. But here, everything you have to make by the English like language. So fourth one is the like M code, like CMC, it's a M code, auxiliary statements. You know how the M codes and G codes are given. So as like here also we have 4 basic statements, that is geometry statement, motion comments, post processor statements, and last but not the least the auxiliary statements, that is by done by M, like the M code. So how, but here the comments are different. So I will discuss in the next slides how this type of comments can be made in computer aided part programming or automatically programming tooling. So now the statements have constructed APT vocabulary words. So I have already told you that something is there like English like language. So you have to need to remember it. Okay, there is no shortcut, because as like G code and M code, I have in the previous classes I have discussed that you have to remember the G code and M codes. The important G code and M codes you have to remember. Here also some APT vocabulary is there with some symbols and numbers that I will discuss in the next slides. So you have to remember that there is no such shortcuts. Okay, you because the only the in the examination only some sort of drawing will be there and some kind of instruction will be there, how the tool will be there, workpiece will be there, what is the feed rate, like that, but no such vocabulary will be given. So you have to remember if you want to touch the questions and you want to make the answer. So APT vocabulary words consist of 6 or fewer characters. What is that? I will discuss. What the most APT statement includes a slash. So slash is very important punctuation mark in the computer-aided programming. That is the after slash, the everything will be written or everything will be understood by the MCU, and before the slash, it will be not understood by the MCU. So that's why slash is very important, and how I will discuss the next slide. APT vocabulary words that is immediately proceed the slash are called major words, that I have already told you that the after slash what is you are writing, the MCU will try to understand, and if it is in his vocabulary or their vocabulary, then it will be understood by the MCU, otherwise it will not be understood. So that's why you have to remember the exact vocabulary. After the slash you have to make some English like language. It is nothing but are the major words in APT, whereas those are follow the slash are called minor words. So follow the slash is called minor words. So these are the examples. Okay, that is the or you can say the vocabulary also. So now onwards I will discuss what are the types of syntax which are used in APT. Okay, the important syntax that you have to remember. Okay, so there this is if you want to make some specify some point 1 and point 2. Okay, so you have to make, so these are the already the dimension I have already given, the 48 and 47 is the x direction and y direction, 48 and 47.2, and for point 1 is the 73 and 72 x y direction respectively. So how you'll mention that point 1 and point 2? So this point 1 is you have to written like that PNT, but there is, this is not a vocabulary of APT, this PNT1, PNT2 and PNT2. Instead of PNT I can write PN, or I can write P also. Okay, so this is nothing but it is not a vocabulary, it is dependent on you what kind of point you are given here. These things you have to mention here. So now is equal to is point. So this is the vocabulary, this is the major words. I have already told you that before slash this is the major words, and after slash this is the minor words. So this is the major words and it should be in the vocabulary of, so you cannot write here as per your choice. Okay, you have no choice. So what is the in the vocabulary of APT, you have to write that only. So in the vocabulary, point should be mentioned by POINT, so you have to write that after that slash and then only the coordinate point. So here only one thing is necessary, that if you here whatever you will written in the first, this is x, second is y, and if you not mention third, that automatically MC will understand that my z is 0. Okay, so this point 2 I have also given one example, that this is the 48, 47 and 0. So if you have any 0, so you may mention or you may not be. Okay, but if something is there, if you if I want to give one example, that 47 instead of 47 it's my z. Okay, and my y is equal to 0, so that in that case you have to write 48, 0 and 47, because in APT vocabulary or by MCU or CNC, so it will understand whatever you are writing first place, it is understood by, it is the x coordinate, in second place it's a y coordinate, and in the third it's a z coordinate. Okay, so you have to mention, but you can mention in if it is in the last and it is 0, then you may omit that. But if it is 0 in the second place, you have to mention 0, because otherwise it will understood here 48, 0 and 47, it is the actual. 48 is the x direction, 0 is the y direction, and 47 is the 0. If you omit this 0, then APT will understand 48 as x and 47 as y. Okay, so that's why this 0 you have to mention, otherwise the every point, or you will mention the wrong point actually, MC will not understand. So this is the main thing, so you have to mention that one. So there are various kinds of style that you can mention by one point. So one point can be mentioned by when the two geometry or two coordinate point is known to you. So this is the style how you will specify. Then second point, when the point is like the intersection of some lines, then this is the style. So you can write pt1 is equal to point. This is the point. Okay, so this is nothing but the point. So it's a vocabulary major words. I am repeatedly telling that you cannot change that also. So pt1, so you want to specify one point here in the vocabulary of apt, so is equal to point. So you have to general sentence you can also remember. This is the general syntax. So symbols, so this is up to you, whatever is symbols you are given, so you have to remember that only. So this is not a comes under the vocabulary of apt. But after is equal to, this is the major words of the vocabulary, and this is the minor. After slash, this is the minor words. Okay, so how you will specify? If the point is specified by intersection of two lines, then this is the style. pt1 is equal to point slash int of, that is intersection of. So this is because this is also vocabulary of apt, so you cannot change this also. After slash is int of, that is intersection of line 1 and line 2. If you are want to mention this point 1, so you will see that point 1 is the intersection of line 1 and line 2. That's why I will mention here point 1 is equal to point slash int of, that is intersection of comma line 1 and line 2. So int of you have to write. There is no other option, because it is comes under vocabulary. You cannot write intersection of instead of int of. Okay, that will be not understood by the MCU. You have to remember that one. So if one point is there which is the center of a circle, so you want to specify one point, that is p4. So if it is the center of a circle, so this is the style how you will specify that point. This is the p4 is equal to point slash center comma CIR1. So what is CIR1? This is also one vocabulary. So you have given the name CIR1, that is the circle one. So this is the style how you will specify one point also when the point is center of the circle. Then another things is the circle at an angle. If the point is at an angle, then you will specify p4 here is point circle 1. This is the circle 1 at an angle 38. So p4 is the at an angle 38. This angle is 38. So this is the style you have to mention like that. If this the point is the in the circle, on the circle, and it's some at an angle 38 degree or some others degree also. So this is the style. So you need to remember this style only, because it will be you have to recall when you are trying to do some programming. So now after the points is a line. So how you will specify the line? So here also some styles are there. So various types of lines you want to specify. How? So if 2 points are known to you, p3 and p4, so you know one for one line, to specify one line, 2 points are very necessary. So if these 2 points is known to you, so initially you have to mention p3 and p4 by coordinate point. In the how the style is there, I have already discussed in the previous slide. Now you have to specify also the line. Okay, so how you will specify the L3? This is nothing but the L3 is equal to line, is specifying the line slash p3 and p4. So it will comes along the p3 and p4. So it's another style. If some line L4 is the line which is another perpendicular line and going to some point, that is p5. This is p5, you just specify. So L4 I am specifying the point line L4, and it's a parallel to the line L3. How you will specify that? You will specify the L4 is equal to line slash P5. So it is going to the P5. This point is very important. Why this is important? Because if I will not specify this point or the coordinate point, this P5, the infinite number of lines will be there which is parallel to this line L3. So that's why this point is very much important, on which this line 4 will be passing on. Okay, so this L4 is equal to line slash P5 parallel L3. So parallel is the vocabulary of APT. So you have to remember two things. So how the line will be specified, LINE is the code, and another code is the parallel. How you will code the parallel? Parallel, PARLEL. This is the vocabulary. You cannot change that. You cannot write parallel at your own, because it will be not understood by MCU. So you have to write parallel. Okay, so this will be the L4 is equal to line slash P5 parallel L3. So L4 is the line. It will going through the P5 and it is parallel to the L3. So this is the style how you will specify one line. Now another is line at a distance. Okay, so if two lines are there, one is the so here line 2, if you want to specify line 2 which is in y direction of line 1, and it is a y direction of 30 millimeter, you can say, then we will specify like that line 2 is equal to line slash parallel, that is parallel to the line 1, and it y large 30. So it will be in the direction of y, and it is y large 30. And sometimes if two lines are there, so you have to mention the y small like that. So if this is 20, so then it will be mentioned like that, 20 small and 30 large, because it is small and it's large. So this is the one style. So you have to mention this one also. So another style is there, that is the if one line is there and you have to mention another line, that is line 2, and which is perpendicular to line 1 and it is passing through one point. So how you will specify? This is the style. Line 2 is equal to line, this is a line, slash PN1. So PN1 is the point 1. So sometimes I will specify point as a PYNT, sometimes I will specify the point PN, sometimes I will specify as a P1, P2, P3. So it will be dependent on you. So when it will be necessary, PYNT, when you will mentioning one point. So when you will mentioning one point like P4, so then you have to write P4 is equal to point PYNT. Here you will not write like anything like PN or PNT like that. So here you have to, then you have to give one slash, then you will mention the, if the coordinate point is known to you like 40 and 30, then you have to mention. But here you have given one PN1, and it will be not it will be understood by MCU, because you are already mentioning PN1 before. Okay, so if you are not mentioning PN1 before, you cannot mention here the line. So before, if you have mentioned something which is not in the vocabulary of MCU, before that you have to give what is PN1. So otherwise MCU will not understand. Okay, what is PN1? So before that you have to mention PN1 is equal to point. If the coordinate point is known to you, you have to mention this type of things. It's a PN1. Otherwise it will be not understood by the MCU. So now line 2 is equal to line slash PN1. So it will be going through some point, that is PN1, and it is a perpendicular to the line 1. Okay, this is the perpendicularity. How you will specify the perpendicularity? This is the par 2. So this is another vocabulary of APT. So you have to mention, if you want to mention parallel, you have to mention parallel, PARLEL. Then it is like that. Perpendicular also perpendicular to. So you have to mention PARP2. So that is, you have to remember. Okay, there is no other shortcut. So another things is the when a line is axis also. Okay, so this is nothing but the axis, line 1 and line 2. So this is the style how you will mention line 1 is equal to line y axis, line 2 is equal to line x axis, like that. So now another things is here one things is there when you want to specify some line which is either left side or right side of a circle. How you will see the left side and right side? So you have to see over here, you have to make yourself in the point 1, and you are looking towards the center of the circle. Okay, so if these type of lines are there, which is the tangent of line 1 and line 2 is the tangent of circle 1, and it is going through one point, that is Pn1, how you will specify that line? This is the style. So you have to make yourself at a point 1, or you have to standing yourself at a point 1, and you are seeing or looking towards the center of this circle. So now your left side is the left side, this one line 1, and this the right side is the line 2. So this is the thing that in the node I have already given, and this is also given you in the classroom, you can see. So this is the style actually how you specify. Line 1 is the line, comma slash pn1. Pn1 is the that point 1, that is I have already told you that the line, if I will mention that line 1 is the line which is tangent to the circle, so there are infinite numbers of line will be there. So I have to mention one point, so that line will be going through that point only. So otherwise this line will be not valid. So that's why line 1 slash pn1 left. How this left and right will be specified, I have already told. You have to standing yourself in the point, and you are looking towards the center of the circle. Now your left side, this is your left side and this is your right side. So line 1 is your left side and line 2 is your right side. So now you can mention line 1 is the line slash pn1, it will going through pn1 left tan to the circle 1, it is the tangent to the circle 1. So in the tangent 2 is the vocabulary of APT is the tan 2, so you have to remember that one. So line 2 is the also, you like that, you can mention. So now it's the style of how you'll specify the circle. C1 is the circle slash center, P1 radius 25.0. So it's a very basic type of thing. So C1 is the circle, the center is the P1, and radius is a 25.0. Sometimes you have already recall, you can recall that in the CNC also we have specified one circle with some center point and some radius. And C2 is the circle, P4, P5 and P6. So some for one line, 2 points is important to specify one line, but to specify one circle or arc, okay, 3 points are very important, otherwise you cannot specify one circle or arc. Okay, so this, if these 3 points are specified, P4, P5, P6, you can easily specify one circle. So this is the C2. C2 is the circle, and it is going through three points, that is P4 sometimes here, and sometimes here, P4, P5 and P6. So now you'll specify how you'll specify plane. It's a syntax. PL2, this is a style. PL2 is the plane slash P2 parallel PL1. So when I am specifying one plane which is parallel to one plane, this is PL1. So before mentioning PL1, you have to mention what is PL1. So PL1 is the plane slash P1, P2, P3. So if you want to specify one plane, you have to mention 3 points. Otherwise, one plane will be not specified. Because if you mention 2 points, only one line will be specified. So infinite number of planes will be there. So if you mention 3 points, then one plane can be specified. Then PL1 is the plane slash P1, P2, P3. So then you can mention PL2, which is the parallel of the plane 1, sometimes like here. So now you can, it's a plane 1 and plane 2, this is plane 2. Now you can specify the plane 2 is equal to plane P2 parallel PL1, like that. So another is if the circle center is known to you, P1 and P2, then also you can mention one circle like that. C2 is the circle of center P1, like P1 is the center P1 comma P2, and it is going through the P2. This is the style how you will specify one circle. So I am mentioning there are different types of circle, and depending on the situation, how the product will be looks like, or how the points will be specified, you have to mention at your own. Okay, how these type of things can be specified. So you have to know the various types, how one circle can be specified, how one line can be specified, how one point can be specified, like that. So this is also one line which is a circle, center of is the P1 and tan 2 is the L2, it's a tangent to L1, one tangent to. So two things you have to specify. Sometimes points should be specified, 3 points may be specified. Sometimes it will be going through one point. Sometimes it is parallel to some things, like that you have to mention. And this is the style I have already mentioned you what the different types of style of mentioning some different syntax. C2 is the circle center, P1 it is the center of P1 and tangent to the L1, it's a tangent of L1. So now this is the style of how C2 can be specified. So now the last thing is the pattern. Okay, how will you specify one pattern? Some drilling process, in the drilling process this type of patterns will be followed, and instead of writing the different types of point like P1, P2, P3, P4, 5, P5 like that, you can mention if this type of distance is same. Okay, you can mention pattern also, because it will take less time to mentioning one uh, program. So this is the style how you will specify one pattern. Pattern one PAT, it is specified by me PAT. So you can also write pattern here. This is not the vocabulary of APT. So here you can write anything. But after is equal to, everything comes under the vocabulary of APT. So here you have to remember what you have to write. So is equal to pattern. So PAT, I have given the name of PAT, this pattern is equal to pattern, is a pattern slash. So before slash it's a major words, after slash it's a minor words. Okay. So what is pattern? How the pattern will be specified? PAT is equal to pattern slash. This is a linear type of pattern. So two types of patterns are there. One is linear, one is the circular pattern. So in the next slide, I will discuss how the circular pattern can be also specified. So it will be first point you have to specify P1, last one you have to specify P2, and number of divisions. So here you can see how many numbers of holes you want to make. If this is the number of holes, or you want to make one pattern with the subdividing this the 5, so number of you have to give in this integer value as 5. Okay, so depending on the how much splitting you are making one pattern, so on the basis of that you have to mention this. So and one thing is important, what is the starting point and what is the finishing point of your this pattern. So three things is important. Another is how the patterns looks like, it's a linear pattern. Another is the first point, last point you have to specify it, and third one is the how much splitting you are making. So these things you have to mention. So now it's a circular type of pattern. So circular type of pattern is two types again. So it's a pattern 3. Okay, so sometimes my patterns will be throughout the circle. If this is the case, then I will mention the pattern slash arc. Okay, it will be going through an arc or on circle. Okay, so instead of arc you can also write here CIR. Okay, this is on circle, so C1. So and before that you have to mention what is C1 or CIR1. So pattern 3 is the pattern slash arc comma C1 comma 0 comma CCLW. That is what is mean. CCLW means counterclockwise, and what is the number of divisions you are making. So what is so pattern is PAT3 is pattern slash arc. This is the arc. Okay, so what is arc? Arc is a C1. So it is making some pattern along one circle or arc. The name of the circle of arc is C1. So now it's a 0 means, so whatever I will give the integer value I want to make divisions, if I want to make the total circular one, then I will make 0. If I will make some points, then it will be the second case I will discuss. Okay, if you will mention 0, that means the it will take total circle to make the division of 6. Okay, so this figure you will see that total 6 divisions are there, and throughout the circle you have already make the divisions. Okay, that's why I have mentioned 0. Now look at the second case. So this is the similar types of things. So pattern 4 is the pattern. It is also going through one circle C1. This is nothing but the arc C1. Now we'll specify 0 and 148. So what is 148? If you have mentioned CCLW, it will calculate that 148 degree counterclockwise. Now if instead of CCLW, it will mention CLW, that is clockwise, it will mention it will calculate 148 degree clockwise degree, like this direction. Okay, it will somewhere here it will make this 6 division. Okay, so this is the thing. So if you mention 0 only, after that you will not mention anything like that. So total circle it will make that division. If after 0 you will make some degree, you mention some degree and CCLW or CLW, then accordingly it will make that division. Now look at the figure, 0 to 148 degree angle, it has make some division with integer value of 6 divisions here it is counterclockwise and 148 degree from the initial position. So this is the things, how we'll specify that things. So in the next class I will discuss the another important things of automatic programming toolings. So thank you for your patience hearing.